Imagine finding out that your country's household debt is, well, actually larger than its entire economy.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
Right. But that's exactly the reality in Thailand right now. The official household debt-to-GDP ratio is sitting at 86.7% for the end of 2025. But when you factor in the shadow economy, informal debt, that number pushes well over 100%.
It really does.
So today we're taking a deep dive into an SCB economic report, a Chulalongkorn University study, and an exclusive interview with the president of TTB Bank to just kind of figure out how this happened. It's almost like looking at a slice of pie. The debt slice didn't necessarily explode in size overnight, right?
No, not at all.
The overall GDP pie just shrank, which makes the debt look massively disproportionate.
Exactly. And, when the pie shrinks, people don't magically stop needing to eat. The underlying data from that SCB report, it shows them it is. But beneath that really flat number is a massive structural shift. Mainstream banks have basically slammed the brakes on business and auto loans. So the only area where people are still managing to borrow from traditional banks is just for personal daily consumption.
Okay, wait, hold on. If traditional banks are slamming the brakes, like tightening their standards, how are people financing this daily consumption? I mean, are middle-class families just putting groceries on credit cards until they max out?
Well, yeah. And once they max out, they leave the traditional banking system entirely because, they still have to survive. So they turn to informal debt.
Like the shadow economy stuff.
Right, exactly. We're talking loan sharks, unregulated community lenders, and pawnshops. That Chulalongkorn study actually found informal debt jumped from 12% to 14% of total household debt.
Which explains this wild stat from the notes. Pawnshop loans surged by 12.4%. People are literally pawning their physical belongings just to buy dinner.
Yeah, they really are. And it's directly driven by this highly fragile labor market we're seeing right now.
Because unemployment ticked up slightly early in 2026, didn't it?
It did, up to 0.9%. But the real red flag there is youth employment. It's actively contracting. New graduates just can't find formal salaried jobs.
Oh, so they get pushed into unstable gig work.
Exactly. Which makes them prime targets for those unregulated loan sharks.
So you have new grads driving motorbikes for cash instead of, building careers. But what does this mean for you, the listener? Like, why is this massive cash squeeze hitting everyone so hard exactly right now?
Well, the trigger is actually thousands of miles away. It's the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. That's heavily disrupting global energy prices.
Right, and Thailand relies heavily on imported energy.
Exactly. So those rising costs bleed into every single supply chain.
Yeah.
It's pushing the 2026 inflation projections up to around 3.2%.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that doesn't just make goods more expensive, it hits the real economy hard, putting around 2.6 million Thai workers in at-risk sectors in jeopardy.
It feels like everyone is just stuck on a financial treadmill. The TTB Bank president mentioned that businesses aren't necessarily doing mass layoffs yet. They're just quietly cutting overtime to absorb those energy costs.
Right, the mass layoffs aren't here, but the tight money era definitely is.
Exactly. Consumers are facing this tight money situation. They're losing their overtime pay. Groceries cost more, so they just pay the bare minimum on their credit cards to keep whatever cash they can in their pockets.
And that exact pressure is forcing a radical shift in how banks operate, because they realize that freezing out consumers just pushes them to loan sharks, which, damages the whole economy.
Makes perfect sense.
So what's fascinating here is how TTB Bank is breaking traditional banking rules. They're using something called risk-based pricing.
Okay, I'm genuinely curious how this works. Because historically, didn't personal loans just hit everyone with a flat, pretty punishing interest rate, like 24, 25%?
Precisely. It was just a one-size-fits-all penalty, basically. But with risk-based pricing, they actually evaluate your specific credit score and financial discipline.
So it's fully customized to you.
Exactly. If you have a solid track record, TTB is now offering rates as low as 13.99%.
Wait, really? That is a massive lifeline. It actively rewards good financial discipline instead of, punishing everyone for a struggling economy.
It really is a game changer for a lot of people.
And the notes show approval rates for this specific program jumped up to around 24, 25%. And if you're taking out a typical loan, dropping your interest rate by 10 percentage points could literally save you tens of thousands a baht.
It absolutely can. Look, we're seeing these global shocks and strict banks push consumers into the shadows, right, toward those pawn shops and loan sharps.
Right, just to survive.
But a combination of targeted government relief for energy costs, workforce upskilling to get youth into formal jobs, and private sector innovations like this risk-based lending, that can pull them back out.
Which is how you build long-term economic resilience.
Exactly. It completely changes the game.
Which leaves you with one final thought to ponder today. If banks successfully shift to pricing your loans based purely on your personal discipline, well, how long before every daily choice you make directly dictates your overall financial freedom?
That's a great question.
Right. From scanning your grocery store loyalty card to paying your electric bill on time, you're no longer just hoping for a bigger economic pie. Your daily habits are dictating exactly how much of it you get to keep.